Is this thing working? I don't know. I guess third or fourth time's a charm. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. If it's your first time hanging out on Motor Chat, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. This is my little slice of YouTube, and it's an opportunity to interact with you guys directly. Look, my channel is basically not much more than a background news generator, usually talking about motorcycle stuff, sometimes about car stuff, and well, you never know what else we're going to be yammering on about on this channel, but those are kind of the gist of it. And the live show, again, as it offers me the opportunity to interact directly with you guys, it also offers me up the opportunity to try to work through standalone videos that were just never going to be able to make it as its own entity. I just couldn't get through it or whatever. So we talk about that kind of stuff as well. So diving right into it, interacting directly as we will. Marco is first in. Hope everything's going good with you. Lime is in. Skids is in. What is up? Got the ball guy with the flex and the specs. I like it. Marco's asking F-150 50 whip or C8, C8 Grand Sport or C8 Z06 would be my play on that. It's just a great driving car, and it's really hard to, oh wait, sorry, that would have been C7. Give it to the F-150 with the whip. Speaking of which, my F-150 has been traded in. And I guess I got to talk about this because I suppose Mopar chat might be making a little bit of a resurgence. Look, here's the thing. I did move away from the 5.0 Coyote F-150. So I guess I got to talk about that at some point. I will be putting together a standalone video, and I'll be doing some ride-along videos with that truck, explaining why I like it better, why I made the switch, and everything else. But I got to say that, you know, at first, I was a big opponent of the Hurricane 6 as a truck engine, but now that I've had a chance to spend quite a bit of time with that engine in my truck, I got to say, it is a hell of a good engine. And not only that, at least for driving around, that thing will drag a F-150 with a 5.0 all over the place in terms of towing. So that's one thing that blew me away about the standard output 6. Man, say what you will about, you know, is it complex? Complexity is almost a relative term. Is it powerful? Yeah. Is it punchier than the Hemi? By a long shot. But here's the thing. It makes so much power, so much torque so early that towing with this thing is it's okay. Let me give you a scenario. And this isn't even with all that much weight strapped to the back of that truck. Dragging a motorcycle trailer with a bike on it. Let me just have a little bit of room here. The F-150, you could feel it back there. I know it sounds crazy, but one of the things I was most disappointed with my F-150, it wasn't with how it drove, but it was with how it did truck stuff. The other thing with the F-150 that I was spooked about is that if you leaned on it, it would bend a panel. That aluminum body, although it's great for being lightweight, one of the issues that I had with it was that it was fairly easy to dent or ding the thing. And so this is starting to drive me a little bit nuts. But a truck that is not struggling, but is noticeably working in a different manner when you're just towing a U-Haul trailer with a Gixxer freaking 750,000 with the Bonnie on there, with the Dayton on there. It doesn't matter what I had on there. I can feel it. Okay, just take that thought and put it on a shelf real quick. The Ram with the standard output inline 6, which builds torque a lot quicker down low than the HO version because it's got littler turbos. That truck, I had to freaking keep reminding myself that I had a trailer strapped to the back of that thing. Just a slight tip into the throttle immediately hangs that engine on those turbos, and you start moving, and you'll look down at the speedometer because it's a 6-cylinder, incredibly smooth running. You can't even feel the thing running in front of you. and you'll look down and you're doing 85 or 90 with a trailer behind you, and you don't feel it. The whole thing is that smooth, and it's that much torque that you just never really get. To get that level of power out of the F-150 required one at least, or if not two downshifts. Where the standard output Hurricane, you just tip into the throttle, it doesn't downshift, it builds boost, the truck takes off. And I'm getting it, guys. I was right there with you guys as far as, what the hell, it's a Turbo 6 and what is another EcoBoost and whatever. No, man, it's really good. And what I love about the Hurricane is that it splits the difference between, how do I put this? It doesn't build dumb torque the way that the 3.5 EcoBoost can, but it does. It's hard to explain. It's every bit as torquey as that engine by feel, but it's more powerful than the 2.7 all the way over the place. So definitely loving it. Anyway, enough about that. But yeah, for me, if I was going to build a hot rod, I'd go SB with an F-150 four-wheel drive, put it in the weeds with a whip and just call it good and go rip everybody's heads off. Okay, Skids. Did the wife's Beamer have any influence on that? You liking that inline six? Okay, so here's the funny thing. Funny you should ask, because she's convinced that the 435i is the reason why I got the Ram. It's the same engine size. They're both twin turbo, all of that, right? I tell you what, did it have any influence on me? Not consciously, but I can tell you that after driving her car, I got to tell you, the way that a twin turbo 6, hers is an N55 EWB motor. So hers is a true electronic wastegate. Right, I'm sorry. Yeah, EWG, which has the bigger turbo, bigger downpipe on her BMW. That car, I'm not going to say it influenced me, but I'll tell you this. It's real torquey. It drives a lot like the Hurricane 6. So I'll just say this. Do you get mad at the BMW because it doesn't have a V8? This is the question that really got me a little bit. So this is, okay, give me a little bit of room. I want to try to explain. The Mustang has a V8. It never got the 3.5 EcoBoost, which for me, could not ever understand that. That to me is a perfect hot rod pony car engine, especially if you tune it, give it the fuel pumps that it needs, the fuel system that it needs, the cylinder heads, whatever else that it needs to make 550 horsepower at 6,500 RPM. That to me would be the engine that you would want in a Mustang. But they never did it. They always kept the V8. BMW had a V8, but they kind of went away from that, and they've got nothing but the inline sixes. And I got to tell you, the inline six, in a lot of ways, is a way better way to go. It's a lot smoother. The torque delivery is extremely fun to play with. It makes a lot of power at very low RPM. So you can kind of see where this is going. After driving the truck that I drove, which, by the way, it took me 4 or 5 trucks to drive to find the one that I wanted because of the weird inconsistency with those Hurricane 6s. But when I drove my truck, I knew that I was taking it home that day. Cost me way too much money, but I got a smoking deal on it. But I had to get out of my Ford to do it. That's what stung. But I got to tell you this, I'm glad I made the switch, and already I'm able to reap some benefits with that truck. So the point that I was getting to is, in the BMW, did you ever get upset, ethereal entity that I'm talking to, would you ever get upset that it didn't have the grumble and rumble of a V8? No, you wouldn't, because it's a BMW. It's doing BMW things, just like the Supra does Supra things, just like the GTR does GTR things, just like the Cyclone and the Typhoon did Typhoon things, just like the the Grand National or the GNX did GNX and Grand National things. See what I'm getting at? So for me, pickup trucks and 6 cylinders go together like peanut butter and jelly. It makes Inline six sounds, yay, but I don't worry about the noise that the engine makes. You can't hear the thing anyway in the truck that I'm driving now. So I may end up putting an exhaust on it just to have something to reference. But I got to tell you, you can have a whisper conversation in that truck. That's pretty cool too. Let me catch back. Ryan, or Skin saying your new M4 exhaust looks and sounds awesome. I got the whole thing put back together today, guys, and we are going to talk about the Gixxer Thau. Just got it all back together. Took it out for a ride today, filmed it. There ain't no damn way I'm putting that film on YouTube. The bike runs exceptionally well. And I did have to make some tweaks to the suspension to get the bike right. But what I'll tell you is this. Remember how giddy I always get when I ride the 636. Remember how I was talking about handling with the 636 and how I carry a lot of mid-corner speed and how that bike is so confidence inspiring and how I just adore it. Well, get ready to get sick and tired of me saying the same thing about the Gixxer 1000. Bringing the bike up by 10 millimeters and adjusting some of the suspension settings to make it a bit more compliant, kind of like the 636, or at least in that same realm, has made this motorcycle so compliant and so forgiving in the carousel turn, in the Missouri turnaround turn, and in our favorite S turns, when we're leading up to our favorite stop signs. At the overlook, everywhere that this bike used to have an issue, especially at the carousel, and there's another turn that you guys probably won't ever see me hit, but it's another one of these barometer type turns that I use to judge how the suspension is doing on a bike because it's real kind of bumpy. You'll see it on carousel. I'm carrying the same mile an hour through carousel, if not 1 mile an hour more on the 1000 than I was on the 636. And I am carrying more mile an hour through the Miller S turn than I was with the 636. And that's not because the 636 makes less power. I can absolutely address that turn with the 636 at whatever speed I want to address it at. And I can tell you right now that the GSXR 1000, the way that it's set up right now, is mid-corner speed. I'm 2 to 4 miles an hour faster than the 636. And then on the back half of that first right-hander, just pick a number that sounds big, okay? It is absolutely transformed the way that that bike runs and the way that the throttle is now with that two-wheel Dynoworks tune. I cannot possibly be any happier with how that bike runs. And I'll tell you something else too. A weird thing about the tune on this bike, and I don't know, I'm trying to figure out a way. So remember I was talking like in the intro, like this is my opportunity to work through videos that really I can't really make a video of because I keep yammering on about whatever. I was trying to put together a video that was going to be illustrative of two-wheel Dynoworks tune versus the more Mafia tune. And I don't know, man, I kept stumbling through it. Okay, so check it out. The two-wheel Dynoworks tune, for me, I feel like is a better tune than the more Mafia tune. I don't know if it's making more or less power. I don't know. Look, it's a freaking leader bike, for crying out loud, with a tune and full exhaust. It ain't like it's not making a bunch of power. And even if there was a discrepancy, we're only talking about 3 or 4 horsepower difference, and that might be going to the two-wheel Dynoworks tune. Because I'll tell you this, in tests of stability, is that a good way to try to get around this? In third gear, this thing is trying to float the front tire, especially once it hits about 10,000, 11,000 RPM. It's already coming up, and I am grabbing a gear at 13,000 RPM as that thing starts to settle back down. It did it when it was low on gas. It didn't really do it when I had it out in the video that cannot be published, which, by the way, there's been a lot of those lately, especially with the 636. I get a little bit I get a little bit a certain way when I get to ride my 636, but the 1000 is, it feels like it's making more torque through the mid range than the more Mafia tune did. As far as peak power or whatever, I don't care. It is fit for task. It is height weight proportionate. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has all the right parts in all the right places. I can tell you that it feels great to ride, but I do have to be mindful of that thing floating the front tire in, uh, especially in third gear. Not so much in fourth gear. I was able to air it out pretty good to the tune of about speeds, and it was very stable. So I was having a good time with that. Um, oh, Marco, thank you very much. Marco, I went with stainless. The reason why I always go stainless, there's not enough of a difference at this level between the stainless and the titanium in terms of weight. There's just not that much. Oh, but a fun fact, by the way, the stock system, not including like brackets, like passenger pegs or anything like that, just the exhaust and the slip on is exactly 21 pounds. So the stainless is like, I don't know, 10 pounds maybe. Oh, and by the way, yes, that is a one-off 10-inch can. Normally they come with an 8-inch can. It's one of the reasons why I had to wait a little bit longer. My guy Kyle took care of me. Be looking for one of those on the 636 coming soon at some point. I don't know when it's going to get here, but that 636 is eventually going to get an exhaust, and we are going to put it on together. So that'll be, I don't know if I may end up doing a live show when I do that. I'm going to get it stripped down, and then I may install that on a live show. That'd be kind of fun. Oh, hang on. Let me catch back up with you guys. But that's the reason for it. There's not enough of a difference in terms of weight, but there is a big difference in terms of price. Plus, I like that stainless starts to turn gold, and I think that's going to look good. Jack's liking the videos on the 636. Thank you very much. I'm loving bringing you guys that content. And again, be on the lookout because that bike is getting the TST two-wheel Dyno Works Velocity stacks, which are in that, where is it at? That box right there with the blue tape on it. And it's also going to get a full M4 Tech Carbon with a 10-inch can. Oh, CBR Brian is in saying good choice with the M4. I should have gone with something other than the Akrapovic. My exhaust is 4 to 5 months old, and the weld on the mounting bracket is 100% detached. Damn. I'll tell you what, man, M4, I've never heard of a failure with M4. Man, come to think of it, M4 is eerily good when it comes to the quality that you're getting. And by the way, if you haven't seen it yet, I did post a video, a huge shout out over to Hunter, Tommy. You've got Jackson in the back. We got a bunch of guys back there that just knocked it out of the park, taking care of that bike for me. So big thanks for that. Ryan saying, will the ride along on the Gixxer basically be beautiful noises with you laughing the whole time? Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, I can't post it because I can't go in and blur this one because the whole damn video would be blurred with my speedometer. But all I can tell you is this. I am laughing practically hysterically. I can't really get a word out. And the noises that are coming out of this bike with this 10-inch can on the M4 are just absolutely, it's just perfect. Matter of fact, here's the other crazy thing. I always have these Artivive, they're not paying me for this, but I always get those expensive ass earbuds, right? I was riding today with no earbuds whatsoever with that M4, and it was no issues whatsoever with that. And I've got a weird right ear too. So yeah, I had no problem with that exhaust. Sovereign saying, hey B, what's up, man? What's up, Sovereign? Oh, yeah. Windows 10 is dropping. Oh, which is kind of funny. So I'm operating everything off of a new laptop because my old laptop, the screen, where the screen, like where you fold it, like, you know, it goes like that. This part, I don't have, it's not in this office. One of the things that holds the screen open just broke through the glass. And anyway, it was a mess. Anyway, I had to get a new laptop, and this is all Windows 11'd out. Yeah, and it's funny because HP tuners would not work with Windows 11. They had to bring in a patch. Orange Crush is in. What is up? So the Gixxer is cleaned up, fueled up, and ready to put an absolute ass kicking on all corners tomorrow. Indeed it is. And I know yours is. By the way, we're about to find out just how badass that Tool DynoWorks tune really is. Oh, yeah, damn right we will. I'll tell you what. Here's the thing. So check this out, Crush. There's the different. I'm trying to see if I can illustrate the difference between the two tunes. The throttle mapping. I say fueling. I don't know if it's fueling, but I can tell you that the throttle mapping on the Two-Wheel DynoWorks tune is a lot better. And what I love about it is on the side of the tire that those pictures. By the way, Orange Crush knows what the mid corner speed was on that S turn, and it's that's a fairly tight turn, and I'm ripping it pretty good. So, but the whole reason why I'm able to do that is because I can dive the bike into the corner and then immediately start feeding it maintenance throttle without having to worry about getting a little bit of a jolt. And then right as I'm coming through that corner, I just start rolling into the throttle, and it just kind of steps out. Love that. Love that bike. But yeah, awesome bike. So anyway, the difference, it feels like it's making more torque between, like, looking at it downwards, it feels like it's stronger from like 11,000 RPM, like between 8 and maybe 11.5. There's something going on in there where it just feels better. I don't know. Listen, it could be just a mind fuck because I'm thinking of it in the same way that, yeah, I've been on the 636. I got really used to the 630. But the funny thing is about the 636 is that my brain never tried to melt the two together. And I've always been a little bit more focused in on the 1000. And the 636 is fun, but it's obviously not the same, right? And from what I remember from Red Alert, I don't know, man. This X-Star bike feels a little bit stronger. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know, but the bike feels pretty good to me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow big time. Oh, Sovereign saying had to update the PCs to Office 365 as Office 2019 is dropping support too. Yeah, we've been on 365 for a while. Saying double whammy. Tim's in. What's going on, Tim? In Australia. Always good to see Tim chiming in. I guess it's about lunchtime on Sunday. Very cool. Some are saying, spike the like. Yeah, hit that like button, guys. Tim saying, what do you think about the Heel-Tech quick shifter for the Gixxer 750? By all accounts, it's really good. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to put that one on my 750 before I moved out of it. But everybody that I talked to, the guys that I know of that have installed them and that have ridden that setup really like it a lot. It's better than the quick shifter that comes on the 636, mainly because you can program it. And in that respect, it's the way that the GSXR 750 should have come from the factory. Matter of fact, two of the guys that I talked to, one of which had it on he had a GSXR 600. And it was one of those things where for him, it was transformative for the bike. He ended up keeping the bike because he put the Heel-Tech on it. So take that for what it's worth. Yeah, Sovereign, the hinges snapped. Yeah. And the crazy thing, it'd be cool if I had it so I could show you. Like if you're looking at it like this, it would have been these hinges right here, or that hinge right there. And so you went to open it and the hinge stayed flat. And so it just broke through the glass on the screen. If I remember, I'll grab it on the next live. I'll just have to hold it up and show you what I'm talking about. It's pretty bad. It's got tape. I've had to tape it up, but the tape isn't there to hold it together. The tape's there to keep the glass all together on that thing. Ryan saying, so I'm ordering some earplugs. The RTVs weren't good in my opinion. My buddy told me to try Hears. I've heard about Hears. He thinks they're better. We shall see. The RTV weren't great for me. The only bitch that I have with them is that if you move your jaw around a little bit, they don't ever fall out. You just have to make sure. I use the biggest hole that they have, or biggest rubber thing they have, and I just jam them into my head, and it seems to work pretty good. Mackenzie's in. Sorry, late for the chat. What's up, Ryan? You doing good? Ryan said, oh, damn, Sovereign's in. Ryan's asking if I'm doing a 5.3 drop on the Ram. Got Ram's wheels coming for it. Okay, so let's talk about the Ram, because this is kind of the elephant in the room. I'm not going to do a 5.3 on it. It still has to be able to do work truck stuff, but I am going to drop the rear end. I'm going to use the same, the same springs that I did the video for Stormy. Those are the ones that I've already, in fact, they're already ordered. They should be coming in, I don't know, sometime next week. And I'll do the same install video on, oh, by the way, because the paint color is ivory pearl tri-coat or something like that. Hold on, let me see if I can find the actual color. Anyway, yeah, her name's Pearl. So there's that. And Pearl will be taking the place of Whitey and Buffy. So anyway, I'm gonna drop the rear end 2 inches and level it that way. That's the way I had Stormy, and I really like the look of that truck with that setup. As far as wheels go, it's a night edition, so it already has the 22x9 wheels on it. And I like the way the truck looks with those wheels. If I end up making a change, I don't know which direction I would end up going. But I do like the night edition 22-inch wheels on that one. Sovereign said, oh, the hinge. Yeah, I talked to one of the techs at the Nerd Herd. What is it called? The Geek Squad. And the dude that I was talking to was saying that there's a weld in there that can break, and when that weld breaks, that it doesn't allow that anyway. Yeah, it's definitely jacked up. Tim saying, yep, lunchtime on Sunday in Australia. Okay, cool. Gonna order a Heel Tech today. Been riding for 20 years and have never used a quick shifter. Keen to play around with it on my 750. Dude, I'm telling you, the thing is you order it and it comes with the app. Let me see if I still have that app on here. Oh, here it is. So here's the cool thing with the Heel Tech. If that's even going to show up? That just looks like ass. Anyway, you can absolutely, you can tailor it exactly to your bike, or you can just put it in, use their default mode. A lot of guys like to get in there and really fine tune everything. Look, the way that it's set up, it's an ignition interrupt, by the way. It doesn't have anything to do with your fuel. It is ignition interrupt, and it's pretty easy to install. Again, the guys that have played with it, you stick it on auto, you go through the learning process with it. It's a little bit of it's kind of tedious, but it's just part of it. Once you get through that, though, apparently it works pretty good in auto mode. But I know a lot of guys like to really break things down and, get to the nth degree with these things. I really wasn't going to get all that crazy with it. And realistically, they only kind of work as up only. But it will kill ignition on downshift. So you got to be a little bit cognizant of that. And if you want, there is a way to have it only work in the up position, in the upshift position, if you want to do that too. So there's options all over the place for the Heel Tech. But the cool thing is that you can tune it and tailor it to exactly what you want to do with it. He's saying the truck looks beautiful with the white and black contrast. Pretty truck. Thank you very much. So I didn't even realize the paint color on that thing is like a ridiculous option. But fun fact, Pearl has basically the same color, which is like hen's teeth rare in Challengers. The Pearl, was it Ivory Tricolor Pearl or whatever it is, was it 2016? Maybe you could get it in 2017 color for Challengers. And it's the color of the Challenger that I darn near bought and had test driven before I ordered Shalandra. And when I went to order Shalandra, you could not, no, it was a 2016 only, and you could not order that color anymore. And so I don't know when they brought it back, but Pearl is the same color as the Challenger that I tried to order, and I couldn't get it because there was two different whites. Pearl, Ivory Tricolor Pearl or whatever it is, and then you had the Oxford white or what turned into white knuckle. Talking about the computer. Yeah, it failed beautifully. Ryan saying, hey, RMAC. I said, I used a quick shifter on the Ducati nonstop, probably more than I should have. Then when I jumped on the HD, it killed it more than I should have. Yeah. Oh, Ryan saying, oh, get the OD power coated pipes got here for the bobber. I think I'm going to have to paint the bike OD green. Man, the vet in me is loving the green. I love it. Do it. Make it loud. Yeah, the dark green does look good on the cruisers. So I'm going to, speaking of cruisers and other bikes, I'm going to try to get some ride and review videos in maybe by the tail end of this week. We'll see. This week's going to be really I got a lot going on this week work-wise. So we'll see about that coming up. I'd like to get some new bikes in on rotation for ride and reviews. One of them is just a 650 Royal Enfield. I want to get another Royal Enfield in because, like, even though it doesn't get a ton of views, I just like riding those bikes. They're a lot of fun. But I am going to be bringing you guys some info. Oh, Ryan, yes, the Draggy video. It's already been done, my friend. Here's the thing, okay? So we're going to get back to trucks here in a second. Or for just a second. So here's the thing. I put the F-150. You're gonna think I'm making this up, guys, and I'm not. Matter of fact, where's my Draggy app? Shit you not. This was actually pretty eye-opening. Come on, guys. Where is it? I did Draggy both trucks. I put the F-150 back to stock, but it was still on 93 octane. That's 0.1. Here we go. It was still on 93 octane, and it still had the cold air, and it still had the Borla exhaust. I want you to think about that for a minute while I also tell you. That it was very low on gas. It was like less than a quarter of a tank, which does make a difference because that's a considerable amount of weight. I'm trying to get to history, quarter mile. Here we go. Okay. And this is kind of funny. So this is a string of runs between the trucks. The thing is that there's some tuned runs in here, and I don't know why it's not letting me. This is going to drive me nuts. Anyway, if you guys can see that, if it's going to show 1418, 1414, the top two are the new Ram. The 1403 was a run that the truck ran, the F-150 ran with a tune, and so was the 1386. Now, those conditions were way better than when I ran my Ram. This is why I kind of got screwed up, and I really couldn't show like back to back and show next to next. But I've got another run in here that was the F-150 stock tune, low on gas, but still had the intake and the exhaust. It went 1408 at like 98 miles an hour. The very next day, I ran the Ram. It went 1414 at 96 miles an hour. But the conditions were kind of crappier, and it had a very full 33 gallons worth of I don't know what octane gas in it. So it's not really a good comparison. I've got a stock truck in the F-150, but it did have a cold air and it did have an exhaust. Does it matter? I don't know. But I can tell you that when that truck went 1408 at, again, I want to say it was 98 miles an hour, literally the very next day, the Ram goes 1414 at like 90, what did I say, 96? Crap. Went 1414. I'm sorry, 1414 at 94 miles an hour. 0 to 60 was 0.2 of a second faster with the Ram. The problem with the Ram, number one, we don't know what kind of fuel was in it. Number two, whatever kind of fuel was in it was all of it because it had a very full 33 gallons in there, which is a lot of extra weight. The Ram, the thing is that it will go into a component protection mode somewhere around, easily at somewhere around the 1,000-foot mark. Does that not sound familiar? This is the same issue that affected Hellcats from like 2020 and up when they did the reflash for the Cat Overtemp, when they did the recall. So around the 1,000-foot mark, it feels like it goes into some protection mode. The Ram will get way out on the F-150 and it stays there until the 1,000-foot mark. And then at some point, that F-150 is already building up a lot of steam because that's what Coyote motors do best. And as the Ram is laying over, the Coyote is where it's making the best steam, and that's where the difference in mile an hour come from. But up to that point, first of all, through an 1/8 mile, it's over with. Don't even bet on the Coyote. It's all Ram at that point. So it's crazy the difference between the trucks, but I did drag him. I would like to get the Ram at least low enough on fuel. And if we keep some muggy air down here, by the way, it literally started raining right after that 1414 and 1418 pass. By the way, those were back to back. It literally started raining 5 seconds after I got done. There's like a little video portion of that. That was crazy for me. But anyway, that's how close these two trucks are. And if you take the mile an hour portion of it and just understand the why behind that, the Coyote, it's not even close on the highway, mainly because on the highway, the Hurricane 6, you're in it, it'll take off strong, and then it goes into component protection, where the Coyote doesn't really have to worry about that. And I think once tuning is available for these standard output motors, it might be a situation where you start to remove some of the protection protocol with this thing, and it is going to really wake up a la EcoBoost type wake up type stuff. Although it doesn't quite have the fuel pumps or the turbo size to make big power. Again, it's the standard output. You're not buying it to make big horsepower. You're buying it to make really strong bottom and low end torque to do truck stuff, which it does very well. So I'm super happy with it. But that's the difference. I was shocked at the difference in 0 to 60. And I didn't really dive too deep into it. I didn't have time. I've been real busy lately, so I didn't have time to really do a deep dive. But I can tell you, for just driving the thing around, the Ram is a lot punchier than that F-150 would have been, or the F-150 is. Oh, hang on. Let me scoot this back up. Ryan saying, still got to get that K1600. I cannot believe the noises those things produce. I know, right? Oh, the shotgun rolling. Yeah, that's a good looking bike. Oh, McMahon saying, getting the Graves exhaust for the GSX. Uh, the T1000. Tell you what, that GX that I rode, I'm still like liking that bike a lot. Yeah. Oh, GSX R1000. Yeah. I tell you what, that that's a good exhaust too. It's a good saying. Would be interested to see the Rams numbers in similar air. It'll be quicker. I promise you, it'll be quicker. It'll be quicker, but it won't have anywhere near the mile an hour. But it will be at least, man, I hate to say it, stock for stock, it's going to be at least a tenth and a half quicker than the truck that I had. If not a tenth and a half, it'll be a solid tenth. Ryan's liking the Royal Enfields for being so simple. They are awesome. Ryan's ridden a Continental with the 750 big bore and cams. That would be a riot to ride. And loving the sound of it too. And yeah, you can literally tear the thing apart in your garage with hand tools and beer. Mr. Mizens, hello, stopping by showing some love. Congrats on the awesome truck. Thank you very much. He's checking out. Thanks for coming in, brother. Thank you. Right, saying now, becoming a convert fanatic about the Royal Enfield. Hey, welcome to the club. Listen, one of the things about the Royal Enfields that I have just grown to adore is you forget, with everything that we have to ride nowadays, with all of the technology, everything that's baked into the cake of these modern motorcycles, man, I got to tell you, you forget what it's like to just ride something on two wheels. You know, something that makes noises that doesn't make any kind of real power. It makes the air cooled engines have a completely unique sound only to them, where they'll have this, there's just a noise about them that you cannot get with a water cooled engine. And try as you might, my T120 is a great example of this. It doesn't matter how hard you want my T120 to be old school or whatever, it still is very modern in a lot of different ways. It just looks like an older bike. Royal Enfield, on the other hand, is an old ass bike that has been converted to fuel injection and then sent off into the world. And I love them for that. And I just think that once you get past all of the, Gixxer 1000, Gixxer 750, 636 type of bikes, those are amazing to ride. But I got to tell you, when it comes to just giddy, goofy fun, I'm still kicking myself for not buying the Continental GT. I was a day or two late. I think the guy bought it, 2 days before I was going to go by there and just snag the thing. And it sold. And I was so jealous, because when I did the ride review on that bike, I was genuinely surprised by how good that thing ran, how fun it was. It kept up with traffic real easily. And I just had a look and a sound and a sense to it. You don't ride that thing expecting, to win any trophies, but you're riding it because it's just a fun thing to do, and man, I'll tell you what, anyway, congratulations on getting that bike. Yeah, I'm big into them myself. Ryan saying the Continental will be the one for you. Yep. Oh, Ryan, McKenzie's asking, can you tell the difference in the hauling power versus the old Hemi? Um, okay, so yeah, let's talk about that. But I'm going to drag the F-150 into this conversation here for just a minute because of the V8 offerings, the F-150 sucks at towing. I'm sorry, unless you gear it to the moon, it just feels flat, and that includes comparing it to the 5.7. I will stand by that just with my own personal experience carrying me through. But the Hurricane versus the Hemi, the Hurricane is a lot more effortless in the way that it pulls whatever it is that's behind it. And that is true of any of the 6-cylinder turbos, 2.7 EcoBoost, 3.5 EcoBoost, the 3.5 that's in the Tundra. All of these 6-cylinder turbos, except for the HO, I'm gonna take that a little bit out of the conversation because where you have to be to get an HO is just too lofty in terms of price. But it also doesn't, I don't think, tow as well as the standard output for like what we're talking about now. They are all very weird because their power curve, from your point of view, comes way up high in torque and then it falls off pretty quickly. And it's within like that 2,500 to 4,500 RPM range where the 6-cylinder turbos make just this wave of torque. So right as you're cruising down the highway, that first tip in, even without a downshift, the truck really starts to move out. When you put a load on something with turbos, that's when it's the happiest. And so again, comparing it even to the Hemi, the 5.0s, no, it's not going to tow like a Hurricane or an EcoBoost, whether it's whatever it is. But when you compare it to the Hemi, it's even better still than the Hemi. And you got to remember that the Hemi is now, again, the largest of the standard V8s. So we can talk about the 5.3 and the Chevrolet. We can talk about the Hemi again in Dodge since you can get it now. And even though it is 5.7 liters, the largest standard V8 that you can get, or at least optional standard, you know what I mean, it's not going to be able to hang with the Hurricane when it comes to towing. And I did a lot of towing with my 5.7 with the Hellcat. And I mean, it was that the 5.7 though is, although not as good as the Hurricane, definitely better than the 5-liter Coyote. Oh, McKinsey, I loved it and had to wait for the green light. Yeah, Cafe Racer is a bike you have to ride before you stop riding. They're just fun to ride, man. It's one of the reasons why you see, octogenarians riding these things. They love them. And listen, there's plenty of dudes in their 70s riding sport bikes these days too. So don't get it twisted. They're still out there, but man, they're just a lot of fun. It's like being a teeny bopper on a bike again. It is. I mean, it brings out the kid in me. Yeah, Ryan's liking the shotgun for sure. It's a good looking bike. And the entry price is so low. I mean, you can get a garage full of those bikes for what it would cost you to get just one of some of these, more expensive, more purpose built bikes. Someone's saying, but what about the 6.4 and a 1500? I heard that might be coming. Okay, so here's the thing. If they drop a 6.4, there's a couple of things at play here. If they drop a 6.4 into a Hemi, if they drop the 6.4 into a Ram, what 6.4 is it going to be? Is it going to be the truck 6.4 or is it going to be the 485 horse 6.4? Are they going to detune it down to like maybe 470 like they did for like the Trackhawk or whatever? Is that going to be an option? And it's one of these things where, whether it does show up or it doesn't, you're going to be paying a fortune for it because you're not going to be able to get it in the Laramie. You're going to have to go into the Tungsten. You're going to have to go into maybe an RHO or a GT. Maybe you'll be able to get it in the Rebel, which, you know, now comes with performance pages. The GT does. It's got a lot of good gadgets and gizmos on that truck. But the thing is that you start to look at what these optional engines start to cost and what you really get for your money. I mean, dude, I'll put it to you like this. With not too much effort, I know that Matt over at Most Performance has already put, you know, standard output trucks in the 12s. They're all running low 13s, if nothing else. And at some point, does it really even matter anymore? Because the dollars are just going to be too much. You're going to end up with a truck that's going to have, I mean, you're going to get a nosebleed with how that truck's going to be at least a $72,000 to $74,000 truck, if not higher, depending on where they put it. What I would like to see them do, and this may be coming in the next 2 to 3 years, is take the GT Rebel with all the performance pages, the hand shifter, and all this other stuff you can get in the GT. It's a very cool truck. Take that technology, get a high output Hurricane, and put that in a Laramie. And if that were the case, then I mean that would be pretty high up on the list of trucks that I would want to get. The only problem with that is just how much would that truck cost? And again, you start getting into the sticker shock of some of these trucks. I wouldn't have even been remotely able to afford the truck that I got had I not gotten the deal that I did. So there's that. But I got to say, the inline six with the turbo makes for a hell of a good truck engine. So I don't know. I'm pretty sold on the Hurricane. If they come out with the 6.4, you know, super cool. But I got to be honest, unless they do something marketably cool with it, I don't really know that I'm going to be all that excited about it. Because again, I really like driving Pearl. So we'll see. Plus, listen, they got piggybacks for these trucks. They've got, you know, you put a little exhaust on it, try to get a little bit of noise out of it. Intakes for these trucks, and with everything you do to that truck, it makes a huge difference. But remember, there's just no tuning available for them yet. So we'll see. I don't know that even if they did, there's only a few things that I would do in the tune, and it has nothing to do with making power. It would just be making sure that I turn off auto start stop and some ability to turn off lane assist. But mine, I think if you put it in tow or sport mode, it turns that off already. So I don't know. I want to get more excited about trucks and what's to come, but I like my new truck so much more because it is the 6 and because it is the standard output. And you just really can't replicate that with a naturally aspirated engine, the driving experience. Let's see. Yeah, Ryan saying, give us a 6.4, 45 torque, and 470 horse. Yeah. Here's the creepy thing, though. Here's what I want you to consider, though. And this is where it gets kind of weird with these turbo engines, because it's nothing but a cheat code, right? My truck on good gas, well, that 485 would have to have premium anyway. Fuel for fuel, this is the crazy part, the standard output makes basically the same torque as the 6.4 liter does, and it makes it way lower in the RPM range. So it just depends on what you want. Do you want a lot of horsepower up top? Or do you want all of that torque available to you like right now? I put it to you like this, guys. This is no BS. I'm still kind of, in a way, getting used to my truck, because when you put that thing in sport mode, throttle response goes up. it gets pretty aggressive with how it runs. And I'm telling you, I went to merge into traffic and I'm in sport mode. It's for auto at that point. You hit the throttle and it just the same delay. Oh, that's the other thing. The same kind of power uh, uptake delay as the Coyote, identical, no difference between the two. Roll into that thing, and it goes woof, and it jumps right out. And that thing launched on me. I'm going, shit. And I mean, it was really surprising how hard that thing launched in a scenario where in a naturally aspirated V8, you just map the throttle and get around it. You map the throttle with one of these Turbo 6s, but you make sure you're looking where you want to go. There's no waiting around for power with those things. Well, I was so surprised by how my truck ran. Sovereign saying, Gavin, new scum is banning the V8 option for the Durango and will only have the Hurricane options. That's obnoxious. I mean, I say all of this, but I mean, this dude keeps getting elected. So Mick's saying, I miss my truck. I get that. There's a couple of trucks that I've had that I miss. Ryan said, he kept saying, just wait. He made the analogy. It takes a minute to make a U-turn with an aircraft carrier. That is such a corporate thing to say. We hear that all the time. TK said something like that, or Turbo 5.7. Here's the thing. Look, there is for sure something to be said for having the noise that you want, having the sound of a V8. Even my wife was saying, God, this thing is too damn quiet. I'm like, I'll look into an exhaust, but I kind of like having it quiet too, in a way. It's kind of a nice departure. But and a 16 speaker Harman Kardon sound system doesn't make it all that bad to ride in either. Holy crap. Anyway, with Tim Kaniska saying, this is going to take a while to come into fruition and all that. Again, okay, look, I got a text, because now I'm a newfound repatriated into the Mopar community. The V8 is back, and a V8 is available at the dealership that I bought my truck at, which is great, super. I'm curious as to how many people are going to buy it because it's a $1,200 option over the standard output inline six. And I don't know that a lot of people are going to jump on that. Here's the thing. You want to sell a lot of Hurricane 6s, here's what you do. Make sure they all have good fuel in them, and then let them test drive them back to back. Pick whichever one that you truly, honestly prefer. But you're going to have to pay for it. And if you want to pay for it, then it should be an option, though. Look, if it exists, you should be able to buy it and run with it. Let's see. Or Turbo 5.7. That'll never happen. So I'm saying my bro loves his 02 Tacoma. It's a hell of a truck. Yeah. Ryan said he still have the ability to revive the 5.5 liter dual overhead cam. That they've got to do something, right? I mean, if you're going to carry over a V8, it can't be the 5.7 Hemi. I'm sorry. It can't be that engine. There are other ways to make power in a more efficient way, more power everywhere. And if it's a 5.5 liter 4-valve, that would probably be the way to go. Look, my Sequoia had the what was it, the 4.6 or 4.7 4-valve engine. Great engine. Just because it's a 4-valve doesn't mean it's got to be super high RPM. It just means it's going to be very efficient at bringing in air. And golly, man, I got to tell you, if Dodge could just do it, I think that they would retain a lot of buyer loyalty. But believe me when I tell you, this Hemi thing is not much more than a Band-Aid. And here's the thing. It's almost, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said that if you come in for a test drive on a Hemi, Cool. We want you to drive the Hemi, but just don't leave without test driving one of our Hurricane trucks. And watch how many people go from V8 to Hurricane convert. Just saying. Provided you get a good one. A good Hurricane, that is. So I said, I think I'd settle for NA because boost means possible long-term reliability issues. One more thing to worry about braking. Yo, man, we got to talk about that. That's a good point to bring up. Camshaft lobes getting ground off, lifter failures, DOD lifter failures over and over and over again with GM 5.3 and 6.0 engines, primarily the 5.3 because they sell so many of them. Hemi engines having lifter problems, and hopefully they fixed it now with oil pressure being a little bit different. But the V8, the regular V8 stuff is not foolproof. And you know, you would think it would be one less thing to go wrong, but I got to tell you, look how strong the EcoBoost engines have been for so many, many years. And yes, they all had teething problems, but that's the way of the world. And I got to tell you, man, there is no foolproof engine out there. The Hemi is about as good as it's going to get, frankly, when it comes to reliability, though. And deal with a broken exhaust manifold here or there. Keep the oil changed as you should anyway, and you'll be able to get 250,000 miles out of one of those things without even blinking an eye. So, I mean, Buffy is running strong at 230,000 miles, but it's just time for me to turn her in. Ryan saying, I was good with the inline six and EV options. We have said this all before, but it would have been nice to have those options alongside a V8. Absolutely. Let the market pick what they want to buy. Terminator saying, why would you want to buy a Hemi with less power? I tell you what, I'll even add to you, Termy, is why would you look? I've got literally right there is a Hemi powered Ram. Right there is a Hurricane standard output Ram. The difference, here's the funny thing. I will say this, because the 5.7 is a bigger engine, there are a lot more similarities with how they make power in terms of comparing it to the Hurricane 6. The Hemi, because it's bigger, has got good partial throttle, mid-range torque. It's got all of that going for it. But I will tell you unequivocally that in a vehicle of the same weight, because you got to remember, my Hemi is a tradesman. This thing back over here is a Laramie. 4-wheel drive, by the way, weighs a lot more. That Laramie will still run away from the Hemi powered truck. I know this because I recently drag-eat all three of them. And the tradesman, although it was laden down with some stuff, but not too much weight, went 1480 something at like 94 miles an hour. So again, you've got to remember that we're dealing with a completely different way of putting power to the ground. So it's really hard to compare the two, because with the Turbo 6, you don't even worry about horsepower. It's just, where's the torque at? With a V8, it's got to be a horsepower play. So think of it like this. This is the best way I can explain it. Because if you think of it like this, it'll really help to drive the point home as far as why you would want the Hurricane 6 in a truck over a Hemi. The Hurricane 6, and this also goes for the EcoBoost 2.7 and to a slightly lesser extent, the EcoBoost 3.5. But they're all, no, I take that back. It's not to a lesser extent. It includes that and the Tacoma's, whatever it is, 3.5 liter. Think of them as diesels. Okay, don't think of them as gas engines, because they don't make power like a gas engine. They make power exactly like a diesel. If you think of them as a higher revving variant of a diesel, then it really starts to make sense as to why it makes for a better truck engine. I cannot tell you how exactly it feels to drive any diesel powered rig and then drive a Hurricane powered, standard output Hurricane powered truck. But I do like the idea of options, though. Again, Ford, if you want a V8, they give you a V8. Is it the best truck engine in the world? Shit, no. But you get to have it, and Ford Racing Performance Parts will be more than happy to give you a supercharger that'll make that truck make over 700 and a shitload of horsepower. And there you go. You've got a hot rod. You've got a sports truck you can get from Ford, which you don't have anywhere else. But it's not the best truck engine. It's a great engine, though. Makes a lot of horsepower, and you can have a lot of fun with it. But I got to tell you, these 6-cylinders are doing really good with how they're making power in a truck application, which brings me to my next point, which I should have brought this up earlier. I don't know that this is a good engine for the new Charger, though. Remember, I'm talking that it's all great for the truck, right? Because of how it makes power. But a sports car needs to make horsepower. That's not what the standard output Hurricane does very well. And when it is, let me rephrase that. It'll make great power, but then it goes into what seems like that protection, that component protection mode. And so because of that, again, Dodge, you're going to have to get this right, because screwing up the new Charger by not allowing the standard output engine to breathe, and at least not giving like direct connection options. Like, why can't I go to direct connection to get a tune for this thing? Think about it. So anyway, it's going to be some new, I got to make that a hobby. It's just going to direct connection and see if they have stage kits for the trucks yet. Sovereign. No, the 5.7 isn't $2,000. It's $1,200. It's a little over $2,000 more than the 3.6 liter, the base V6. But it is still more expensive, albeit making less power. Ryan's saying, why, if we're ever buy an older Challenger, I would be leaning manual 6 over the auto. They didn't have MDS. Well, yeah, if you're talking like the NA cars, yeah, none of those had MDS. Ryan's asking, are there tuning options out there for the Hurricane? Does it involve increasing the boost 2 atmospheres? Here's the thing. It's already almost 2 atmospheres from the factory. So there's not any tuning. Well, there is. With the Cat 6 from Diablo, you get an extra 4 PSI of boost, and you'll get somewhere around 75 estimated horsepower to the rear tire. The thing is this is something that Matt and I were talking about over at Moe's Performance. You put them on a dyno, and you can't really make the hits because it goes into overtemp protection so quick. So there's another one, I forget, not JBL, that's the speakers. Anyway, it ain't JLT either. Anyway, the other one, not that I put it out of my brain after talking to Matt, but that company is advertising big numbers. But the reason why they're doing that is they're making really short, really fast hits with the truck, and they're not allowing it to actually run through its actual power stroke, is my understanding, or power range. They're only making the hit from a very short amount of for a short amount of time, and it's not realistic. It's like a very quick dyno pull, and because of that, it doesn't reflect the reality of how long you would be in the throttle on that truck. Does that make sense? So, but Diablo's is a lot more vetted, I guess you could say. And so because of that, they're not trying to game the system either. They're like, look, dude, this thing gets kind of iffy. You can get more power out of it with the piggyback system, but it's mainly going to be within the mid-range power curve. Once you start getting away from that, it's still going to go into overtemp protection. And so the power on the big end, it's not really going to make a lot of sense, which has a lot of us going, okay, cool, that's not a problem. We're going to think about this like a diesel. Let's take a look at the shift pattern, and okay, 5,500 is where you want to shift, but realistically, you might want to drop that down to $5,000, maybe 4,800, and just again treat this thing like a diesel and force feed it nothing but shift points that drop it down into peak torque, which is what I would do. It's what I did with that Coyote, by the way. But that's kind of where those things are falling into place. It's as far as tuning options. It's only piggybacks now. I've reached out, haven't heard back from anybody over at HP Tuners as far as, are we close? But I will be, since I've, I'm kind of getting back into this, I'll be reaching out to some folks and, trying to get a little bit more of that behind the scenes, maybe get some timelines and go from there. But here's the thing with the standard output, man, I really wouldn't. Personally, it's got little bitty turbos. Okay, I don't try to get crazy power out of that thing. Optimize it. Let's see what we can get away with in terms of fueling and component protection. Just some torque modifiers in that, and let's see what we can get. And don't try to throw the kitchen sink at this thing. It doesn't have the fuel pumps and it doesn't have the turbos for it, but optimize it for what it's got. And my goodness, this thing's going to be a riot to drive. Okay. Another thing, one of the adoring, just like side quest things that this truck does is the Laramie comes with a no slip rear end. It doesn't come with like an electronic lock or any of that stuff. It's a traditional rear end that comes in this truck. The one in my truck is very tight. And so going around corners, it'll, which I absolutely love. But the funny thing is this Hurricane 6, the standard output, it spools up really fast. And if you're in sport mode, but you put it in 2-wheel drive, I mean, it's trying to spin the tires every chance that it gets. And so I've actually been playing with that too. So I got a lot of fun that I've been having with this truck. But in saying all of that, guys, I do have to wrap it up. I've got an early morning. I've got to get a little bit of work done on the GSX-R 1000 before I call it a night. So with that, listen, if you made it this far into the live show, consider smashing that subscribe button. It helps the channel more than you know. Hope you had a good time. I know that I did. Listen, get out there and do something cool for somebody, because chances are they need it way more than you know. But with that, guys, hope to catch you on the next one. Y'all take it easy. Take care.